Seattle.
Yeah, and he's been right.
Seattle
Oh
loves
my
him
gosh,
right
that was
back.
terrible.
After an extra week off for the 450 crop and 2 weekends for the Eastern small board jockeys means that we have a very rejuvenated field coming into St. Louis this weekend. Let's first start with the high-profile returns. After one of the silliest crashes we've seen in some time during timed qualifying in Seattle, Chase Sexton was forced to miss the night show, but the diagnosis was only, quote, being banged up, so the Honda HRC rider is all squared to return to the field in the Gateway City, looking to become the third rider this season with multiple race wins. Moto Concepts Honda's Justin Brayton will restart his swan song season after a practice crash in Indianapolis forced him to miss Seattle. The report was concussion-like symptoms, and he just didn't feel up to snuff to ride in the Pacific Northwest, but after an additional free week off, the veteran looks poised to return in St. Louis. Rocky Mountain KTM was shut out last round with all 3 of their riders recovering from various injuries. Joey Savacci remained sidelined after his season-ending ACL tear, but Max Anstie and Shane Mcelrath both looked to be good to go in the final Midwest round. Max has been riding for a few weeks and was contemplating a return in Seattle before deciding to just take the extra week to recover closer to full after breaking 2 ribs and collapsing a lung in Minneapolis. And Sugar Shane, like Brayton, also suffered from concussion-like symptoms after a practice crash in Indianapolis, but he's been on the bike and looks to capitalize on a weakened field during this Triple Crown round. Benny Bloss is set to make his 2022 debut on board the Team Tedder KTM. The baby giraffe hurt his collarbone and ankle in a practice crash before the season that led to a fill-in from Josh Hill until the elder Hill brother had a practice crash of his own that sent him to the hospital bed after A3 with fractures to his hip and pelvis. The 7 Deuce Deuce Adam Enticknap will return to the series this weekend after missing from action since February. The Twisted Tea Suzuki rider fractured his C7 vertebrae in a qualifying crash, but his healing has progressed as planned and he feels optimistic in his return this weekend. In the 250 class, we have 2 returning to the field. The first is Red Bull KTM's Max Vohland, the only small bore rider under the tent. After suffering a first lap crash in the opening round of his series in Minneapolis that resulted in a collarbone injury, Max was eyeing a return as early as Indianapolis round, but it looks like he will finally be good to go to resume his sophomore season in St. Louis. And the final returning rider is Phoenix Honda's Kyle Peters. The reigning Arena Cross champion has made a Supercross career out of his consistency and ability to stay out of trouble, but this year has not fit that bill. He broke his hand and ribs during the Daytona main event, but ever the warrior, KP attempting to qualify in Indianapolis before deciding to take the extra few weeks to heal up in Missouri. 3 guys that still have question marks coming into the weekend. First, Star Racing Yamaha's Dylan Ferrandis. The Frenchman has been battling nagging wrist injuries for most of the season, and the 10th round in Detroit has the straw that broke the camel's back as he came up short in a rhythm and was forced to retire the night. X-rays have shown no breaks or serious damage, just a very sore rider. Hopefully the 4 weeks off means Dylan should return soon, but I've also heard murmurs that he will just heal up and prepare for outdoors instead. Many were looking forward to the return of Austin Forkner this weekend at his home race, but it does not look likely. He is missing from the entry sheet despite posting pictures of him at the track this week leading up to St. Louis. His initial diagnosis was 4 to 6 weeks after suffering a broken collarbone at the Arlington Triple Crown, and I'm not surprised if he or the team make the decision to skip this weekend as the 3 main events are a more grueling schedule to come back to after injury. And finally, a bit of hope that Stilez Robertson is able to line up this weekend after missing Indy with a wrist injury. Unlike Forkner, the Rockstar Husqvarna sophomore is on the entry list this weekend, hinting that he could ride. At the time of his injury, he was one of only 5 riders to finish in the top 10 in every main event, and he looks to build on his career best finish of 2nd at Daytona. Luckily, as of Thursday morning, it appears to be quiet on the practice injury front coming into the round, but not silent. After leaving Tyloof Honda during the break, unfortunately, Grant Harlan had a practice crash while preparing on a privateer Yamaha that will keep him sidelined until outdoors. No footage of the crash, but the National number 65 said to blame fellow pro Ashton Bloxham for not recording on that one. I will be in St. Louis for the race this weekend, so if you're going to be at the stadium or the Pulp MX show on Friday night, be sure to say hey if you see me out bopping around. And before you go, don't forget to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe to RotoMoto for more breaking news and analysis like this. If you value the content that I put out, please consider joining me on Patreon for just about $1 per week. You help me continue to make this content for you and are also entered to win race shoes and autographed memorabilia from your favorite riders. Up for grabs for the month of April is an autographed side plate from Cade Clayson's career best 10th place finish in Detroit this year. Thanks as always for watching RotoMoto. My name is Donnie. Keep it pinned to the weekend.